We are here at the historic ruins of Snow Peak in Hyrule's Peak Province, on this, I'm not going to lie, gloomy day to take a look at some artifacts from gaming over the years, is what I'd say if I was presenting a video game version of the Antiques Roadshow. Video games have given us a lot to treasure in their time, from precious jewels to entire cities of gold. Yes, between its precious loot, legendary items, and general tat, the bounty of the video gaming world would almost certainly fetch a neat bundle of money if you brought it into an auction room, or perhaps for a valuation on the national institution of a British television programme that is the Antiques Roadshow. Now, of course, we're only talking about actual treasures here. Yes, I'm sure the Aperture Science portal gun and all sorts of other futuristic technology would definitely earn you a lot on the black market, but they're not antiques, nor even remotely considered something you could get appraised by Fiona Bruce and her mates, which the rest of this list definitely is, I swear. So, I'm Peter from BBC TripleJump, and here are 10 priceless video game items fit for the Antiques Roadshow. Is this niche enough for you? Number 10. The Chaos Emeralds, the Sonic the Hedgehog series. Rumours suggest that these precious gems were synthesized from all of the worst traits of humanity, but according to Sonic canon, their origins are lost to the mists of time, which is a bit of a cop-out, to be honest. These 7 multicoloured emeralds, all weighing about £1 each, can apparently transform you, manipulate time and space, and be a handy stand-in if your remote control runs out of batteries. Highly sought after, the Chaos Emeralds have been continuously stolen, restolen, and re-restolen by mad scientist Dr. Eggman Robotnik, as well as numerous other zany and wacky characters over the years, not only for their monetary value, but for their innate magical properties. However, no one seems to be able to keep hold of them for very long, because they always seem to attract the attention of a bright blue head, and they're gone. So, without them actually being here to be valued, I'm afraid they're technically worthless. Number 10, done. Number 9, the Ocarina of Time from The Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time. Royal property is always going to fetch a lot at auction, and a musical instrument passed down through centuries of royal lineage is going to be of particular interest. Moulded from what we can probably assume to be clay, this ocarina has somehow survived generations of adventuring and battles, which, again, like the Chaos Emeralds, may have something to do with its magical properties. The musician who plays the ocarina can travel forwards and backwards through time if they play the right tune, and it really comes in handy when solving puzzles, communicating with and summoning various creatures throughout Hyrule, and, trying to come across as talented but slightly pretentious at a party. Anyway, here's Wonderwall. But wait, there's more. The ocarina can change the time of day, make it rain, and even teleport the user to different locations. Legends also suggest that it's one of the 4 key pieces that can unlock the Sacred Realm, which is practically heaven itself, or at the very least one of its lower layers. It's like maybe the foyer to heaven, where you have to tip the bellboy if you want to go up to the top floor. And on top of all these practical uses, the ocarina is also a sacred piece of the world's history. As a result, in Hyrulean rupees, it is worth tens of millions. Then again, when you convert that to Earth money, it'll probably fetch, I don't know, about a fiver. Yeah, sorry, you know what exchange rates are like right now. I think it's a Brexit thing. Number 8, Sapphire's Flawless Sapphire, The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim. Unlike, well, most of the other entries on this list, to be honest, this sapphire doesn't do anything magical or have any tangible practical use. It's simply a precious stone that you can sell, trade, or set into a piece of jewelry, as this, as its name suggests, is a flawless specimen kept by a certain Miss Sapphire as a good luck charm. The sapphire, the stone, is only available from Sapphire, the person, who awards it to you, also a person, after you deliver her a letter, writing on a piece of paper, from her father Glover Mallory, a blacksmith, in Raven Rock, a small town with a couple of dozen residents. It's worth over 5,000 gold pieces in-game, and would definitely fetch a good few £100,000 in our world. That's what I'm talking about. Finally something genuinely valuable on this list. Oh, hang on, there's a bit more here. Okay, so it turns out that Sapphire's father's letter actually respawns after the quest and can be handed in for another Sapphire, meaning that she seemingly has an endless supply of these things on her person. Turns out she gives them out to any old schmuck who she wants to get rid of, meaning there are probably hundreds of these things in circulation, which brings their actual worth down to about £2.50. What the hell is going on? What is with this list? Number 7, the Concrete Donkey, the Worms series. One of the most bizarre yet dangerous weapons of mass destruction in existence, this. I do hope it's been disarmed. What do you mean you can't disarm a donkey? As discussed in a previous list on this channel, the item was inspired by Worms creator Andy Davidson's childhood memory of being told by his own parents that the concrete donkey flower pot in their back garden was an actual donkey encased in concrete. Horrid. That aside, we all know that this thing can cause massive damage on impact, drilling down through whatever surface is in its way until it reaches the sea, crushing any unfortunate worm that happens to be in its way. But enough about the real one, what about the in-game weapon? The Concrete Donkey is understandably considered one of the most powerful weapons in the Worms series, and is the mascot of so-called light-sider players as described by developers Team 17, i.e. those who prefer to play with their worms above ground. There you go, you learned a new term today, fantastic. Now in terms of value, it honestly depends on whether or not there is actually a real donkey inside it, and considering that it keeps making disconcerting braying sounds, I'm just gonna quickly call the RSPCA about this. What? No, not for animal welfare reasons, they just seem like the kind of people who'd know how much I'd get for selling a real-life donkey encased in concrete. Number 6, the Mayor Lewis statue, Stardew Valley. This interesting artifact is the sort of thing you'd expect to be brought onto the Antiques Roadshow by Farmer Babs from Piss Farm, located just outside the small town of Stardew Valley. It isn't very old, in fact, I'd hazard a guess to say that this thing is actually brand new, perhaps not even finished by the looks of it. The statue is carved from solid gold and is the size and height of the very man it represents, that being Lewis, the long-standing mayor of Stardew Valley. Yet, despite being made from such a heavy material, it is apparently very easy to lift up over your head. Either that or Farmer Babs is supernaturally strong. It's said that farmers the world over have placed this statue in the middle of their respective town squares in order to show off the hard work of the mysterious sculptor, only for it to be removed and answered with a strongly worded letter and a tempting bribe, instructing them not to ever do that again. Strange. Now, most art dealers probably wouldn't be that interested in a statue of someone who is, outside of Stardew Valley, relatively unknown, so at first glance, this seems like yet another worthless item that has inexplicably made its way onto this list. What on earth is going on? However, considering that somebody clearly wants us to stop placing this thing in the centre of town, I suspect that that same someone may well pay a lot of money in order to get it back. I mean, buy it from me legally. So, Lewis, if you're listening. Number 5, the Talisman of the Binding Shard, World of Warcraft. Definitely the rarest item we have here today, the Talisman of the Binding Shard was the first legendary item to be released worldwide in World of Warcraft, but was only ever spawned once. On the 25th of November 2005, on the same day that it was removed from the loot table, a player known as Noctin obtained it after killing the evil fire elemental Baron Geddon, I think, within the molten core of Black Rock Mountain. The shard is thought to be an early idea for what would become the legendary sword Thunder Fury Blessed Blade of the Windseeker, which was added around 4 months later with much lower stats. While no one else ever received it, Blizzard allowed Noctin to hang on to it despite it being officially removed from the game, with him being unable to sell it to other players. So it would definitely be worth a lot of money if he was somehow able to make it tradable by cracking the game or hacking the server or whatever the relevant tech jargon is. But would it be enough to pay for the fight against the subsequent lawsuit from Blizzard? On balance, considering the fact that nerds will pay silly money for silly things, I'd say yes, do it. Number 4, the Completionist Cape. RuneScape. This is a cape designed to be worn by only the biggest RuneScape MLGsters, who have literally exhausted all of the levels, skills, quest lines, music tracks, and spells, and have met a few more additional requirements too. Introduced to the game in 2001, the cape was initially the best in the game in terms of stats. However, probably because of how much money it cost to get back if you died and lost it, it has since been made identical in stats to the Max Cape. I went to school with Max Cape, he's a nice guy. Meaning that it's now only really useful in terms of getting that sweet street cred. It's like an extortionate wristwatch that you buy and then keep in a safe forever for fear of anything ever happening to it. You wouldn't want to risk breaking your brand new Rolex while killing demons when your shabby old Casio can tell the time just as well. It's like that. Good analogy. Dating back to the second age of RuneScape, it was enchanted by the mage Damarok, who was later turned to stone, and when it was first unlocked, an accompanying message advised, "You have completed RuneScape, go outside." In terms of valuation, it cost 5 million gold coins to buy in-game. However, no matter how much in-game money you have, it's not available to everyone. If you yourself have not met all the game completion requirements, touching the cape sees you get blasted back by a beam of magic, meaning that all those who haven't reached 100% in RuneScape wouldn't be able to bid on this thing at a post-Roadshow auction, and all those who have finished RuneScape wouldn't be interested in bidding because they'll have one of their own already. So I'm afraid this isn't going to sell either, and I swear to God this whole list is a very early April Fool's trick on the part of the scriptwriter. Number 3, the Shovel Blade, Shovel Knight. Not to call a spade, but it's a spade. Or rather, it's a shovel, and Wikipedia tells me there is a difference, so maybe this item will actually have some goddamn value. Used by those who follow the code of chivalry, that's not a joke, this unusual weapon is one that symbolizes gallantry, valor, and a sense of adventure. Used by the legendary Shovel Knight himself throughout his various quests, including battling the Enchanter and saving his beloved partner, the shovel is coloured a beautiful blue, probably to match his armour. Now, it's still a shovel, so the knight who wielded this must have been underestimated by both his peers and enemies upon their first meeting, but sword or not, you can actually deal a lot of damage with a strong downward swing of any gardening implement this large. It's obviously well used, but appears to be constructed from an incredibly strong material to be able to withstand all of the battles it's faced without bending or breaking. In fact, it could very well be enchanted. Who's to say? Probably an Antiques Roadshow expert, to be honest. I mean, that's sort of the point of the whole show. Number 2, the Aged or Aged Feather, Dark Souls 2. While it certainly isn't the shiniest or coolest, this may just be the most practically useful item we've seen today. You see, this rather unimpressive looking feather is actually incredibly valuable to anyone wanting to venture to and around the ancient kingdom of Drang Lake? I don't know, I'm not Ben Potter. It has the ability to return you to the last bonfire you rested at without any limit on the amount of times you can use it and with no punishment for doing so. This was once held by the enigmatic Emerald Herald, but was apparently passed along to the mysterious Bearer of the Curse at some point, and was then used in their quest to break the curse, or link the flame, or end the hunt, or dispel the fog, whichever one it is. I honestly get so confused by all this. The fate of this cursed bearer is unknown, but while it is an endlessly useful item to have within the universe of Dark Souls itself, it says here that most people in the real world would probably not choose to transport themselves into a world full of vengeful knights, fearsome dragons, giant frozen tigers, and other equally deadly animals and demons. Oh, what a surprise! Oh, but then again, I personally have been looking for a place to practice the bagpipes without upsetting the neighbours. So, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I'll buy this one! Ha! There! Value! Our number 1, El Dorado, Uncharted, Drake's Fortune. Here we have a truly fantastic find, a genuine legendary artifact from Earth's supposed history. It was brought to the Roadshow today by adventurer extraordinaire Nathan Drake, who has unfortunately had to be removed from the premises as he kept trying to steal all the other list entries. We warned you, Nathan! Made from 500 pounds of solid gold, El Dorado is an ancient Aztec sarcophagus that was initially found, stolen, by the Spanish around 400 years ago, who then took took it to a remote island and put it within a giant labyrinth to protect it from unwanted attention. But then, Nazis! Apparently lost for generations, it was finally uncovered by the infamous German bad-bads, and then the aforementioned Mr. Drake, who brought it to us. We can already surmise that there's to be an out-and-out brawl between historians, museums, and private collectors in the auction room, but personally, I have my money on the fierce-looking blokes in the corner there. Even putting its gold exterior aside, it could also contain innumerable treasures within. All those claims about a mystic curse or a devastating virus are utter hogwash and not to be listened to at all. Get your wallets out, everyone. But before we start the bidding, why don't we just crack it open and take a look at the treasures inside? Wow, an ancient Aztec mummy. Incredible, priceless. Oh, breathe that in, everyone. Oh, it smells like money. And that's our list. Did we... It doesn't smell like money, it smells really bad actually. Did we miss anything out? Let us know in the comments below. You can follow myself at TripleJump on Twitter here. If you want to support the things you enjoy,